On this note, I would like to humbly invite the Honorable Minister of State Education.
Sorry, I apologize. Same day we did a letter to the Senate President. Our letter dated 14th October 2019. Unfortunately, while we were able to meet briefly with the Senate President, we are not privileged to meet with you. In that letter, we had actually catalogued issues that culminated into this action. But I'll come back to that. Let me quickly respond briefly while thanking the Minister of State for Labor and the Minister of State for Education for their preliminary remarks that we are not starting a fresh strike. We are continuing from where we stopped. On 7th February 2019, we signed a memorandum of action. The difference for us between memorandum of action and memorandum of understanding is that for our memorandum of action, every item has role assigned and timelines attached. We found that for much of last year, nothing concrete was done about the memorandum of action. And that caused us to write 3 letters sequentially, restating some of this. Of course, we understood that somewhere along the line, the cabinet was dissolved and the Honorable Minister of Education was away for some months. But immediately he came back. We wrote and we restated the issues, and we called on the Honorable Minister of Education, of course inviting the Honorable Minister of Labor to be part of the process of tracking the issues we highlighted and we agreed on in our memorandum of action in February 2019. I'm sure the Ministry of Labor still has our letters. Talking about the legality of the action, so therefore, we are saying that they are not unaware of what was going on. Again, January this year, 9th January specifically, we had the privilege of meeting with Mr. President and Commander-in-Chief. The Minister of Labor was there. The Minister of Education was there. And other officials of government were there. We left that meeting with the impression that there should be follow-up actions on our demands. Because Mr. President, in his concluding statement, told the Honorable Minister of Education, while passing our documents to him, that Honorable Minister, we have a lot of work to do. Of course, we want to acknowledge that the Honorable Minister of Education had met with us 3 times, and that communication.
However, sir, we in the Ministry of Labor, up till this minute, we have not received any notice of any strike from ASUU. By virtue of Section 42 of the Trade Disputes Act, laws of the Federation 2014, ASUU should give a 15-day notice of any strike they intend to embark upon to government. The Ministry of Labor even their own employers, the Ministry of Education, or any government department, ministry, did not receive any notice of strike by ASUU, in line with Section 42 of the Trade Disputes Act. So first of all, this warning strike, a strike is a strike. First of all, let's clear that. Because withdrawal of services, even if it's for 2 days, it's a strike. And so it must comply with the provisions of the law. So first of all, this strike is an illegal strike because it has not complied with the provisions of the law. And because of that, because there was no notice of the strike, government is not officially aware of the grievance of ASUU. There are reports in the papers, of course, but it will be responsible of government to now take newspaper reports as a guide in a very important matter like this, involving a very important association like ASUU and the welfare of our children across the country. So, but despite all of this, government has been very proactive. It is our duty in the Ministry of Labour to apprehend such strikes. So, despite the fact that no notice was given, despite the fact that the law was breached, government has opened its arms and invited ASUU for negotiations. And we're happy to tell you, Mr. Speaker, that the meeting has been fixed for 2 o'clock today, this afternoon. Everybody will be there, from the budget office to the Ministry of Finance to Education to Labour, and then we are, of course, as Labour Ministry, we are anchoring the negotiations, and the meeting will be held at the Ministry of Labour by 2 o'clock this afternoon. So it's to show you how government has opened its arms. Government is not shying away from any issue, any of the issues on the table. So, if I hazard a guess now, perhaps I'll be jumping the gun, because we have had issues just preceding this strike. ASUU have been threatening to go on strike because of the IPPIS system. There were pending issues before regarding agreements signed in the past. So, if we want to go to the nitty-gritties of these issues, it might take the whole day here. But Mr. Speaker, we'll be very happy, and your leadership you have provided is extremely heartwarming at this stage. We'll be happy to report progress to you of negotiations that we are doing. We are embarking on past with 2 o'clock today. We'll be very happy to report periodic progress to you until it is concluded. But just before I conclude, just to give a peep into the IPPIS thing that immediately preceded, that was the threat that immediately preceded the strike. We all know that the system is designed to fight ghost workers, corruption, and all of that. ASUU, in our previous discussions, they have, of course, expressed their concern about the peculiar nature of its members. We have lecturers who are doing, who go to other universities as visiting lecturers and all that. So they get allowances here and there. Government has said, look, you will not be denied all of these allowances. There will be a separate portal for allowances. There will be a separate portal for salaries. So you have no fear about allowances. It's just that the BVN will not pay twice on one portal. They will not pay one BVN twice on one portal. But a separate portal. That has been done for doctors. Doctors also, they receive salaries. They receive other allowances too. That has been done. Doctors have since complied. ASUU members, 70% have complied. So we are worried about the leadership of ASUU and why they have taken this position. Like I said, with IPPIS, they are fully covered. And we expect them to join hands with government to fight corruption and ghost workers so that we can free up funds for infrastructural development in this country. So it's our appeal to them to please cooperate in this direction. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you.
That was the
Issue of educating our children. Interestingly, the House is holding a special session today. That's all we're debating for the whole day on the issue of out-of-school children. We have tried and severally to avert strikes in this country in the last few months, and we have been successful at it. The medical strike, electricity strike, and the House has intervened, and we have been able to come to some kind of resolution. I believe this is what has emboldened us, with a deep sense of responsibility, to once again try and intervene in this very, very important sector, which is the education sector. It honestly does not speak well of a country where it becomes almost perennial, that at every point, every turn, there's one strike or the other, somebody's holding somebody to ransom. And I think it's time we rise above that and think of our children, because they say when two elephants fight, it's often the grass that suffers. Education is the front burner of our legislative agenda, and we will do all that we can to make sure that we situate it and place it rightfully where it should be. Let me very quickly address, I think there are basically two issues here. The issue of the agreements and the issue of IPPIS. But let me first address the issue of legal notice, which I think the Honourable Minister of Labour may be right. He's probably right. If the law says you give 15 days notice, then the law is not there to be broken. You must give 15 days notice. But that's as far as our rightness goes. But let's look at the practicality. So, assuming that even ASUU says, okay, you know what? We'll hold. We'll now serve you with a formal 15 days notice. What does that do? All it does basically is to delay the inevitable. It does not in any way avert the strike. We're only just kicking the can further down the road. So I don't think we should go to the legality of the, even though I agree with you. It has come, we're here. I think we should just deal with it and knock it out. On the issue of signing of agreements, honestly, honorable ministers, and I speak to us even in the National Assembly as well, agreements are not meant to be, when we hear this all the time in every sector. When an agreement when it gets to a point where government's agreement is not worth the paper it is written on, then we have a problem. There has to be something called sanctity of agreements. It is almost illegal, even it's wrong when you have even a private agreement, not talking about government, that carries the weight of the nation, and ASUU that carries the weight of education, to come into an agreement, perhaps even knowing at that point in time, as you're going into the agreement, that it's just an agreement for agreement's sake. I'm not even saying that's what government did. Now, there are situations where agreements are no longer feasible. It happens every day, when it's not even possible through no fault of government. It could be by virtue of force majeure, act of God, whatever it is. Then that breach, so to speak, is excusable. Now we have dwindling oil revenue. Assuming that there has been an agreement to pay you such and such and such and whatever areas, where is the money going to come from? But that does not mean that government should not, in utmost good faith, there's something called full faith and credit in every agreement. So, if we're trying to resolve an issue, we must tell each other the truth. So I will lay that blame on the part of government, and we are part of government. We are part of it, although we're not, we didn't enter into agreement with ASUU. And that's why we're calling this meeting, so that we, the National Assembly, can be a part of whatever agreement is reached, either as witnesses or whatever it is. So you have a third party. So that is as far as the issue of agreements concerned. as on the issue of IPPIS, I've heard you, I've read you. I know for a fact that even the union is divided on this. There are divergent views amongst you. There are those who do not agree with you. And then you also have your own views. Now, much as your views, much as you may be right in canvassing that the union should not be part of IPPIS, honestly, we live in a country of laws. And I hate to use this word, not in a jungle, where any union, no matter how powerful, will say they are above the law. We may not like a law. It may not suit us. We may not like a court judgment. The court judgment may not work for us, but we are under an obligation to obey it. And that is how I want to situate this. If government has come out with a policy that says, and for good reason, that says this is for the purpose, this government came into power almost one trick pony saying we want to fight corruption. And if the government is saying in fighting corruption, we have found out that there are ghost workers in almost every area of employment. Therefore, to address that issue, we want to do this. Honestly, as much as you may have a point, I think the optics will not be good for you, as far as even the Nigerian public is concerned. In the sense that the optics are, okay, people are saying they want to stop ghost workers, they register for this, and then an organization is saying, no, we cannot register for it. Assume, for a minute, just think about this. Assuming that the National Assembly was supposed to be captured in this, and the National Assembly and legislators, and gave good reasons too, that, oh, we're an arm of government, oh, we're this, oh, we're supposed to be independent, we don't want to be captured. What would the public say about the National Assembly, including you, ASUU? You'll be the first to jump on us. And I believe what is good for the goose is good for the gander. There has to be equal application of the law. ASUU can come up with a good reason and say we cannot be captured. The moment government accedes to that, I can assure you that other associations will come up with, and even with even better reasons than you, why they themselves cannot be captured. Then what happens? We have defeated government policy, well-intended policy. There is something I think we should very seriously think about. On your argument that there is no country in the world where the academic union, this is applicable to the academic union. What I would say to you is every policy has to be tailored to the environment and to the realities of that country. There are laws in all these other countries that you say that is necessary there, but not workable here in Nigeria. It's not one cap fits all. Unless we want to deny the truth to ourselves, we know there's corruption in every area of this country, including ASUU. Let me indict, including National Assembly, including the executive, including the labor union. So I think it would be wrong to say because it doesn't happen in some other country, it should not happen in Nigeria. Nigeria has its peculiarities, and we must accept those peculiarities and deal with them rather than run away from that problem. So I want us to think very seriously about the issue of IPPIS. Like I said, I totally disagree with government on the issue of agreements and violating agreements willy-nilly or even if there was a reason, I would have expected the government would have been in touch with you to tell you, look, we had this agreement, but this is what is going on. Please bear with us. Give us a little bit more time. And I don't know that you have been sufficiently in conversations with the National Assembly that has the power of the purse, because I think part of your grudge is that your allowances and whatever has not been catered for. We just passed the budget. I'm not sure if you were in sufficient contact with your committee that could have made a case based on the agreement, based on all these documents, that could have made a case that no, we have to include the allowances as stipulated in this agreement in the budget. And I'm sure that that would have been done. And it would have been difficult for government to say the National Assembly was wrong in putting that in the budget. I want to appeal to you. We successfully dealt with the issue of the medical strike. We successfully dealt with the issue of electricity. We must successfully deal with this. We cannot go on like this. I know government is ready and willing to listen to you. And I want you to be able to listen to government as well. There's a 2 p.m. meeting, as you stated. If it's practicable, I think the chairman, tertiary education, should also be in attendance at that meeting. Yes. Yes. Should also be in attendance at that meeting. Yes. So that in future, it won't be a question of hearsay. It will be a question of, if the chairman is there, the National Assembly is there. And we will want whatever agreement that is reached to now at this point, so it won't be a secret agreement, a public document for the whole world. We will publish it if you don't. And then we'll know that honestly, Prof, that you guys have gone the extra mile to accommodate, not government, but to accommodate the children that you teach. I know it's often said that your reward is in heaven, but I think things have changed. things have changed, you know. So please, we call this meeting as a peace-making effort to try and look for solutions and lasting solutions too. We will address all the issues at the level of the National Assembly. Give us the opportunity. We've never been involved in your negotiations, never. Maybe this time there'll be a difference. Give us the opportunity to be a part of your negotiations with government. You're lucky that you have a Minister of Labor that is a comrade, not was. He was always on your side when he was practicing, and he still is. Because we've had private conversations. It's just a question of us listening to each other. It's not a fight. It's not a fight. So please look at the area of IPPIS, and if government is able to accommodate your fears, Prof, if government is able to accommodate your fears in the area of IPPIS, then let's work it that way so that Nigerians will know that ASUU is part of IPPIS. They're not hiding anything. But those fears and those foreign workers or foreign professors that you said will also be taken care of. Will also be taken care of without affecting your own government policy. So please, and government, please, once there's an agreement, it's actually almost embarrassing that there's an agreement. We're talking about the 2009 agreement. An agreement that is over 10 years old. You know, if other sectors come now and the government says they want to come to an agreement, they say, no, your agreement is not No, that's not. That's not good. I want to believe that, and I'm appealing to ASUU, please. I'm really appealing to you. The National Assembly is appealing to you. If we can hold off, take the high moral ground, and say, for the sake of our children, we'll call this off for the next 2 weeks. Let's see what we can agree. It's an interim thing. We're not saying call it off permanently. It's an interim thing. Let's see what we can achieve. Yes, one-on-one with the National Assembly. So it's a tripartite agreement now. It's a tripartite agreement. Yes. So please, give us that opportunity and give us that confidence to be able to deal with this situation so that our children do not. In other climes now, they're closing schools based on coronavirus. Let it not be said that we're closing schools based on disagreement between government and ASUU. So I thank you very much once again for coming.
On this note, with the permission of the Honorable Speaker,